I was married to my ex-wife for 12 years, and we have a 5-year-old daughter. A couple of years ago, I found out that she had been cheating on me for years. Not just having one affair, but sleeping around with multiple people. She turned out to be the most manipulative, gaslighting, habitual liar I've ever known. It appears this behavior had been going on for almost the entirety of our relationship. About 2 to 3 years in, I became disabled and was in a bad place, so I never noticed what was happening. I fell into a deep depression that took me years to climb out of. My back is still messed up, but I've learned to live with it, accept my limitations, and find my way through it. But apparently, that's when it all started. 4 years ago, I found out about her cheating, and I had been saying for years that I wanted out. At first, there were a lot of apologies, promises that she would change, that these people would go away. Then it turned into track my phone, keep an eye on my texts. But eventually, it became about how I was just a jealous, controlling person. And of course, she would shut everything down whenever she decided to do something wrong. She'd say, "He's my best friend, I'll end it. But if I can't even talk to him, I'll just shut down and never talk again." During all this, she worked third shift while I stayed home with our daughter, even when our daughter was sick. Meanwhile, she was out partying and sleeping around. About 4 years ago, when our daughter was 1 year old, I told her I wanted out. I wanted a divorce. She would say, "Fine, but I'm taking our daughter and moving, and you'll never see her." She would threaten to leave in the middle of the night, knowing that I tend to sleep heavily due to my medication, which I need just to function because the pain can be unbearable. I love my little girl. She was the one who pulled me out of that deep depression. Being disabled, I was the stay-at-home parent. I was with her from the moment she woke up to the time she went to bed, and I was the one putting her to bed at night. I was the one working with and teaching our autistic 5-year-old, not just because my wife was working, but even when she was home. She would spend more time on her phone or the 5 pounds than with our daughter. One day, I was working on something around the house, redoing the deck, replacing wood, treating, staining, and sealing it. I walked through the house and saw our daughter climbing the railing around the banister above the stairs right in front of my ex. I stopped it and said, "What the hell?" Somehow, I was the asshole, and she claimed there was no problem and that I was blowing it out of proportion. I was apparently always blowing things out of proportion. She was still talking to the guy she had been having an affair with for, as I finally found out, a decade, and when I got angry about it, I was blowing it out of proportion. As I mentioned, about 4 years ago when our daughter was 1 year old, I wanted out. I said it many times. It was clear that nothing would change, that I couldn't trust her, and never would again. I finally recognized how much mental, emotional, and sometimes even physical abuse I had been enduring. She kept saying she would change, that she would get help, and even went to therapy a few times. But she always turned around and continued to use our daughter to trap me in a marriage I hated and wanted to leave, and I still don't understand why. In her view, she didn't have a problem. She didn't believe in holding grudges, and if she didn't stop doing something and it continued, it didn't matter how long it had been going on or that she did it last week. She apologized, and that was supposed to be the end of it. All those other times didn't matter. What mattered was what just happened, and pointing out that it was an ongoing issue was holding a grudge. I needed to learn to forgive and forget and move on. But she kept me trapped, continually threatening to take our daughter. Now, let me be clear. I did cheat on her. Once, at the beginning of our relationship, nearly 12 years ago, with a woman she brought into our bed for a threesome, which was her idea. Afterward, I found out she had been cheating. I got drunk and had a one-night stand with that same friend. Then we slept together a few more times. I went to my ex, admitted what was going on, told her I knew what she had done, but I was willing to work on the relationship and try to fix things if she was too. Then, about 6 months later, my back got messed up. She said she loved me, supported me, and would be with me through it, even though I gave her an out, told her I knew it would be a lot to deal with, and wasn't asking her to stay. I was talking to her about the situation and giving her an out. No hard feelings. I would completely understand, and we could part on good terms. In the end, it turns out she never stopped. In fact, as I later discovered, she had been stealing my pain pills for this guy. But nope, she never stopped. Not once. And I had been saying for the last 4 years that I wanted out. But I love my daughter, and I was absolutely terrified of losing her because if my ex took her, there was nothing I could do about it. Earlier this year, I did a lot of introspection and didn't like the person I had become. Paranoid, jealous, angry. I hated how weak she had made me, or rather, how weak I had allowed myself to become. I didn't used to be like that. I never would have hesitated to leave her in my mid-20s, never would have tolerated any of it. But after I ended up disabled and was in such a bad place for so long, I lost a lot of who I was, and I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. Even many of my old friends I didn't talk to anymore. I started reaching out, started sticking up for myself again, started regaining who I used to be. Then, in March, someone contacted me. That same woman we had the threesome with, who I had cheated with before. It turns out she had been through a lot too and was in a bad relationship as well. But we never crossed any lines. We were just friends, talking each other through our problems. That started in March. In April, I left my ex. I told her it was done. She didn't take our daughter. She didn't disappear. I agreed she could stay, save up some money, and get her own place. It was done, but I'm not an asshole. I'd give her time to get her shit together. But we were absolutely done. She started sleeping on the couch. She opened her own bank account, etc. But the manipulation continued. She found out that friend and I were talking, and she got upset that she wasn't talking to her. She hated what my ex was doing to me. In April, we started meeting up. I introduced her to my daughter. We'd hang out. But still, not crossing any lines. My ex got pissed about it and tried to tell me I couldn't take our daughter around her. But like I said, I had started to change. I wouldn't tolerate her bullshit anymore. My ex insisted on trying to maintain a friendship with my new girlfriend. She would come by, spend some afternoons at our place, and even stay the night a few times. This started in May, shortly after she left her own ex and we began dating. As we spent more time together, my ex walked in on us being intimate. She barged in, exclaiming, "Are you serious?" and started an argument. I reminded her that we had split up months ago. After she left for work, by then she had switched to the first shift. My girlfriend and I continued. During this period, although I had introduced my girlfriend to my daughter and was letting my ex stay to save up for her own place, we weren't being overt in front of my daughter. We weren't sure where our relationship was headed, as we had both come out of bad relationships. Meanwhile, my ex was apparently telling me one thing, that she was getting her life together and saving money for a place, while telling other people that she and I were working things out. As July progressed, I thought she was saving to move out. In August, she started a big fight over my girlfriend. She threatened to take our daughter again, but this time it didn't work. I told her I wanted her out that night, and she made that threat again. After our breakup, I tried to go back to work in June, thinking, I've split up with my ex and I have a daughter to take care of. The day after that fight in August, I decided I had enough. She went to work, and I took the day off to pack all her belongings. I even changed the locks. Then I waited outside for her to come home from work. When she arrived, I made it clear that she needed to load her stuff into the car and leave. She wanted to take our daughter, even though she had nowhere to go immediately. I refused, telling her to contact me later in the week to arrange visitations. I told her repeatedly, get your own place and you can have her overnight. If you want, you can have her every weekend and every holiday. But her running around, partying, and actual neglect of our daughter meant she wasn't taking her and moving our 5-year-old autistic daughter out of the house. I didn't care about my ex's feelings on the matter. They were irrelevant. What mattered was our daughter's best interests, and I would protect her from her own mother if necessary. Later in August, my girlfriend moved in. We were genuinely happy together. I had forgotten that happiness in a relationship was even possible, that you didn't have to fight constantly. Despite this, my ex was still telling people that we were getting back together and working things out. She even told my girlfriend this a few times. She would take my girlfriend with her when visiting our daughter a few times. Things seemed to be calming down. Then, about a month ago, she lied to both me and my girlfriend. She called me at work, saying she wanted to take our daughter to the park and would take my girlfriend with her. because she knew I didn't trust her after all the problems. Until we had a court-ordered custody situation, I insisted on supervised visitations, especially since she had taken our daughter to my girlfriend's house before she split up with her ex for the weekend, got drunk, and made out with some random guy she had just met, all in front of our daughter. Yes, I lost my temper over that. We were split up, so I didn't care what she did, but I cared that she did it in front of our daughter. Anyway, she lied about taking them to the park. She told my girlfriend they were going to the water park. Instead, turns out my daughter wasn't mine. She knew this from the beginning and lied to me, even though my name was on the birth certificate. She had contacted the biological father, got him involved behind my back, even though he had apparently never wanted anything to do with our daughter. She told him a bunch of lies about how I was a controlling, abusive person and that I wouldn't let her see our daughter. She didn't take them to the park. Instead, she had seen a judge and got a court order for a DNA test. The police were there. My girlfriend couldn't tell me until after it was done. 2 weeks ago, she got the results back. My daughter wasn't mine, and the judge ordered my name removed from the birth certificate. Once that happened, she came to the house with the police and a court order. She took my daughter. I haven't seen her since. I never thought she would actually take our daughter after all those years of frets. I'm 38, and Carolyn is 5. I miss her. I've lost my daughter, and I miss her deeply. No matter what, I will never go back to my ex. She's been telling people I'm just going through a midlife crisis and that once I calm down, she'll be willing to take me back. There's something seriously wrong with her. No matter what, I will never go back. But I really miss Carolyn. I go days without sleep minus 3 to 4 days at a time until I just pass out. Drinking doesn't help. I tried. My girlfriend is helping me through it all. She's been incredibly supportive and has made it clear that if my ex shows up here, she will confront her for what she's done to me. She hates her with a passion almost as strong as her love for me. I miss Carolyn so much. I thought packing up all her things and moving them into storage in the basement for when my ex is ready to pick them up would help. My ex moved in with the guy she used to steal my pills for. He supposedly cleaned up, but I don't trust a single word that comes out of her mouth. Anyway, I thought cleaning the house and removing constant reminders would help. It didn't. I went from being a father to not being one in the course of a day. How do you deal with that? Because I don't know. It hurts so much, and there's nothing I can do about it. I haven't cried since I was a child, but tonight I am because I miss Carolyn. She was my light, my world, my life. She saved me and pulled me out of a deep, years-long depression. I'm so scared for her now. We were finally making progress with her issues with my ex out of the house, and now all that hard work might be undone. I absolutely love Carolyn and I miss her. It feels like I got into a fight with Kano from Mortal Kombat, like someone thrust their hand into my chest and ripped out my heart. Every day it feels like that. My girlfriend has helped so much. I don't know what shape I'd be in without her. But even with her help, even though it's been almost 3 weeks, it still hurts. I will never go back to my ex. While I'm still friends with almost every woman I've ever dated since I was a teenager, I don't want anything to do with my ex. Not now, not ever. I found out why she did it. When she picked up Carolyn, she admitted that she didn't do it because it was in Carolyn's best interest. She did it strictly to hurt me, even if it meant taking away Carolyn's father, the person who's been with her every day, the first person she saw in the morning and the last every night. Well, she got what she wanted. She definitely hurt me.